Puffer Swiven, based near Houston, Texas, has been in the petrochemical and oil and gas business since 1945, starting out as a Fisher valve company. Since then, our business has expanded rapidly through the decades. With offices throughout the Gulf Coast and now in San Antonio, we are uniquely positioned to service the Eagle Ford Shale. And speaking of the Eagle Ford, we recently had a very large producer come to us with a common problem for us to help them solve. This scenario plays out thousands of times a day in every shale play in the U.S. A truck pulls up to an oil well tank battery. No operator from the producer is present, so the driver hooks up their equipment, pulls what should be 185 barrels of oil from the producer's tanks, performs their grind-out procedure, climbs on top of the tank and conducts a manual tank gauge, returns to the truck and fills out a haul ticket with all the pertinent transaction data and places the haul ticket in a mailbox, or worse yet, a mason jar. Once a week, your company has an employee drive hundreds of miles at various sites to retrieve the tickets and return them to your accounting department. Here is where the real nightmare begins. The tickets are rife with inaccuracies, covered in mud, coffee stains, and the like. The bookkeeper or data entry clerk is out sick, and the tickets just keep piling up. All the while, the clock is ticking as the books need to be closed. To make matters worse, there have recently been some royalty disputes, and you don't have an authoritative or convincing audit trail. And lastly, you have a serious concern about two of your haulers. But the haul took place 3 weeks ago and you simply don't have time to dispute it. Puffer Swiven came up with a novel solution. Wouldn't it be great if we could take a system that was fraught with inaccuracies, judgment calls, antiquated procedures, and downright thievery, and automate it? Puffer Swiven did just that. We developed a truck haul printer panel that has completely automated the system. Think of it as a gas pump for the oil field. Here we see demonstrated just how easy this panel is to use and some of its features.
Here is the Puffer Swiven haul ticket automation panel. The key takeaway from this is just how easy this panel is to use. No automation experience is required. You, the producer, assign login credentials to your haulers. The truck driver enters those credentials, usually a hauler code and a driver code, into the user interface. If their login info does not match, no oil is dispensed. Once they're recognized as a legitimate hauler, they're free to proceed. Then they get a message to be sure their grounding and venting equipment is in place. Next, they're asked to create a ticket number for the transaction. No two ticket numbers can be the same for any given hauler. Next, the driver enters the amount of oil in barrels they want to pump, say 120 barrels in this case. They hit the start button. You'll hear the rock flow computer fire a solenoid that turns on a pump and oil begins to flow. All of the pertinent flow data shows up on the user interface, such as barrels per hour and the like. While the driver is waiting for the loadout procedure to be completed, they can perform their grind-out procedure and enter those data into the HMI user interface. Once the loadout is complete, the ticket screen appears showing all the critical transactional data, such as a date and time stamp, indicated volume, meter factor or level, net standard volume, etc. The driver then presses the print ticket button on the screen. As many tickets as you want can be printed, and the transaction is complete. It is that simple. All this data is stored in two places, both in the Rock Flow computer and in the Redline HMI user interface as a backup. All data is SCADA friendly, so it can be easily uploaded into your accounting software via a radio link or some other communication. No SCADA? No problem. Over 500 transactions are stored and are easily accessed via an SD card in the HMI. Best of all, no more unauthorized hauls at 3 a.m. and no more losing several barrels of oil per load due to manual tank aging and shady grind-out procedures. No more manual handwritten tickets, no more guesswork, no more errors, no more waiting weeks to close the books. It's that simple.
With Puffer Swyven's state-of-the-art panel shop in Stafford, we can build, custom program, configure, deliver, install, and commission this panel at any location in the Eagle Ford Shale, making the process a complete turnkey solution. Moreover, once installed, we can train your operators to use and maintain it. These panels can also be sent anywhere in the world. Puffer Swyven. Collaborate, solve, deliver.